Welcome everyone to week 6. So I ask you a very kind of like, what do you call it, um, hypothetical question. What is the purpose of learning Linux or any server application? Linux, Unix, Windows, whatever. Because everything we are doing now will in fact serve you out there in the field. And I know this for a fact because I was in the field for almost 20 years as a system admin. Everything you're learning now are the same things I had to learn and teach myself, and I wish somebody would have taught me. And so this week we discuss intermediate server commands like grep, diff, sort, path, ps, and find, and everything else. And we look at file permissions, all very vital to the study of system admin. So as you watch the videos and as you do the labs for both Linux and Windows, we have actually have a Windows lab this week regarding malware. Tell yourself that each thing that we are doing will help us survive when we are out there in the wild. Frankly, just so you know, that's the value of studying Linux or Windows. Today we're going to talk about intermediate programs or commands. So last week we focused on kind of like introducing Linux as a platform, and I talked about how each command was actually a little mini program, and each program had different switches, much like a Python or Java function would have the function itself that you call and possible parameters. So that's what we talked about last week. This week we kind of delve deeper, and these are all commands that you're going to be using in the real world, because back in my day when I was a system admin, I used each and every one of these commands. And keep in mind, when you're in a situation where you're kind of like the PC repair guy and you hold the keys to the, you maintain all the data servers and you're creating the web forms and everything, it is kind of like an esoteric endeavor in which only you have the answers, and it feels kind of good until you get into a group, until you move into a massive company and everyone's as smart as you are. And so, but you still retain your little skills that you got, and that's like where your power lies. So the point is that you should be kind of like, I'm going to say, practicing everything. So when it comes time where you see the work, instructor-led exercises, which would be comprised of the next two videos, don't do them once. Like I know everyone likes to follow my videos because that's what students say, but I always tell them, don't do it just once. You have to do it several times, because as Einstein said, it's 90%, or it's 10% perspiration, 90% what? Inspiration. So you have to practice. Practice, helps you learn. So the first concept where we're going to go through is shell globbing. So globbing essentially is that asterisk character, and we know the asterisk character. So if, for example, let me put in, if we had two files, my file and then my file 1, if we said something like echo and then asterisk my file like that, it's going to give me both my file and my file 1. However, if I just say echo 1, it's going to only give me my file. So the idea, the globbing, is the fact that it'll attach itself based off of whatever characters you tell it to, whether they're preceding or they're leading. It'll grab onto whatever it is that you want. And we're going to talk about another type of matching. It is grep, and it stands for Global Regular Expression Search and Print. So it's actually kind of like a search tool, and I explained that in the forthcoming video. Now it comes to this command called less. So if you cat out or stream an entire file, you're going to get essentially you're going to get a flood on your screen. And in many websites, even, you're not allowed to flood the chat. So you're not allowed to, like, copy and paste, a 30-page term paper. You're going to get a violation. However, with less, we can stream out only a certain portion and then control what the output shows, which is very useful. Very useful for, and sorry to go back, but it's very useful for things like log files. And trust me, when you're out there in the weeds, you are going to be concerned with things like log files and things like that. Actually, we're going to be taking a look at that next week. Now we're going to take a look at some of these files, and maybe you've seen them before. I think we did PWD, present working directory, last week. We have diff, file, and find and locate. These are here to allow us to manage our files a little bit better. Okay, then we have head and tail. That is similar to less. Okay, that's similar to less. And then we have sort. And then we're going to take a look at the path command. Now, the path command allows us to define where, when we type in ls or when we type in any command, it's actually a program. So it's actually an executable program. So let me get my drawing tool. If we, for example, type in ls for the listing of the directory's contents, ls is actually, as I keep on saying, an actual program. And when we type in the, like, if we started Mozilla Firefox from the command line, we would just type in Mozilla, and then Mozilla Firefox would come up. That's many times one way you can execute a Linux program, is just type in the name of the program. So there is an actual program called ls. So when we type ls, we're actually asking it to execute the ls program, which is a series of commands that ask the computer to print out or echo out the current directory, file names and directories. Okay, so the path command allows us to echo out every part in the file directory where ls is. So it's going to look in the user bin files and the etc files, everything, to find the first matching instance of ls. Finally, or maybe not finally, we get into file redirection and listing processes. That is the ps command. And finally, we focus a lot in the second series of videos on the concept of permissions. So this focuses on this string of characters right here, and will explain the fact that this refers to the type of file it is, whether it's a file or directory or symbolic link. And then we group the next three. That's for user, this is for group, and this is for others. So I'll explain it to you in greater detail in the preceding next couple videos. Anyways, I hope you get a lot of watching these videos, and I will see everyone later. Thank you. Bye-bye.